We're racing on the streets of Adelaide. This is the ChampCar iRacing Series, round 10 in 2026. Mazda MX-5s on the streets of South Australia's capital as we continue our little Australian flavour to this year's season, hitting all of the great tracks on iRacing of the ChampCar Endurance Series and a couple extras. To bring you live coverage of this championship event on HJBC, I'm David Haynes with Devin Peters and Michael Derby. It looks like a beautiful day, but the challenge is going to be the curbs, the concrete, and the drivers.
Yeah, when people think about like top 10 drivers, challenge tracks, you know, the Nürburgrings of the world, the Mount Panoramas, they don't put Adelaide on the list, but one time through the turn 1-2 complex here, and I think everyone will agree that this is a track that is trying to kill you on every single lap, and it's awesome. I'm so excited to watch these Miatas flying around here today.
Many great championships have used this track. Formula One from 1985 to 1995. In 2000, the American Le Mans Series, race of 1,000 years, on New Year's Eve here. Would have been a bit hot, and then supercars have made it famous, and MotoGP are coming here, allegedly, in the future. But for the ChampCar iRacing Series, with a 1-hour race ahead of us, they're going to have to make a pit stop. But before we get to the grid, they'll set some qualifying times, and Michael Polasek is on top at the moment. It's been a pretty fiercely contested season so far this year. Wins going the way of Jared Collins, Lincoln Fox, Michael Polasek. He's been on a bit of a hot streak, and he needs to be after missing the first 3 races of the season.
Yeah, and with this track posing the danger it does, having that good starting position is something he wants. So we're watching him here through turns 1 and 2, and then we flipped away just at the last second. But these guys are going to be battling it out today because we're kind of getting down to the critical rounds. 12 rounds in the ChampCar iRacing Sprint Series, and this is number 10.
It's Michael Chase slowing up before turn 4 after taking a really committed racing line through turns 1 and 2. That's always the big talking point here, is the track limits at turn 2. You can't cut that chicane. Well, the problem is that you can, but you're penalized for it.
Yeah, and I want to say in the real world series, don't they have some sort of complex system of penalties and warnings and stuff? In iRacing, you just get a slowdown penalty. So it's really cut and dried, but it's really hard to tell from inside the car when you're going to get one.
It's a 3 strikes system that kind of operates. But iRacing doesn't do that. So at the apex of turn 1, you've got the big tyre barrier. At the apex of turn 2, you've got to have your tyres on at least part of the painted curb or the yellow line. Jared Collins is 3rd in this session at the moment, as he goes in between the buildings. You can touch those curves as much as you want. For almost the rest of the track limits is, well, there's concrete barriers.
Yeah, hits the big back straight at Bartles Road, heading down towards turn 8. Expecting to see a lot of draft action through here.
Yeah, really quick, but also kind of narrow corner opens up into this big braking zone here, which is usually where the action happens. Long straight, tight corner, 1 + 1 = 2. And then you come out of the city streets and into the purpose-built pit lane and paddock area. Pit entry is to the right of the final hairpin. Pit entry can be a little challenging here, and it's also very slow. And we've got about a 25-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit as well.
Yeah, Australian tracks taking things seriously on the safety front. Seems to have a lot of tracks with the very, very slow pit lane speeds. Makes that pit stop extra punishing.
This looks like setting up for a flying lap, and it could be just 1 or 2 left in the session for Ian Giebler. Crosses the start-finish line there. Sets up with his eyes down towards 1, where he goes a little bit wide, jumps a fair bit of 2. Turn 3 is no problem at all in these cars, and I think he might have got a little bit too much of that turn 2 as he just slows up on his way down to turn 4.
Yeah, best way to keep up with the action on a track like this, where that slowdown penalty is going to play such a role, is on hjbc.live, of course, where we have our timing. Click the link in the description. And we've got 23 brave drivers out there today that have volunteered to try out this track. And I'm looking through it. I think I see about 5 Canadians that have made the trip. Who's our Australian standard bearer there, David Haynes?
The spirit of Peter Brock.
That's what you've named the ghost car, I think, that goes around here. Don't worry, Haynes. One day we'll get an Australian to come and join the series.
I was looking last week, I think, who is the most internationally known person from Adelaide, and every Adelaide celebrity is only famous in Australia. Every Australian that you can think of is from somewhere else.
Whew. He's got the brakes real hot on that Miata. Never seen them glowing like that before. I think that's Logan Sennhauser. Putting in some laps in the BRT car as this session's checkered flag falls. And we'll be seeing our final laps from drivers.
Yeah, Logan's 14th at the moment. His brother Cameron is 12th, which puts Andy Cossack in 13th in the dangerous position of a Sennhauser sandwich. Will that change as Logan Sennhauser crosses the line? I feel like no. 1.5 seconds away from any improvement on that lap for Logan Sennhauser.
Yep.
Drivers left on laps that they could improve include Michael Polasek, Ian Giebler right here, Orlando Harrell and Matt McGee. So Harrell's just in that final sector at the moment.
Frankly, it seems like chilly weather down there, only about 70 Fahrenheit in the air.
I don't think Ian Giebler is going to be improving on what is simply a perfect winter's day. Matt McGee's run a bit wide at the final corner. as well. And there's Polasek with a 32.439 to beat. He puts down 32.68, 2/10 away. Still stays ahead of Ryan Puxel.
You can still see him skipping through turn 1 and 2 there, though. We're going to see lots of action there. Who's this coming on to the front straight one last time? It's Cameron Sennhauser putting in a final lap. And not improving. So the grid is just about set.
Yes, it is. Mazda's on the streets of Adelaide, under the shade of the trees. And just the last driver left on track is going to get kicked off now as we get ready to go racing. Beautiful old architecture in Adelaide. Probably because no one's moved here since 1999. We'll get to our grid. And it is Michael Polasek on pole position, but also laying down a 132.4. Tantalizingly close Ryan Puxel in second place. The next row of the grid is Jared Collins and Michael Chase. I think this is the top 4 of your championship in the top 4. Funny how that happens sometimes. Statistically, it makes sense. Jack Stadola and John Sirota, 5th and 6th on the grid. Ian Giebler in 7th, Lee Martin in 8th, Levi Gaffeni in 9th, and Ryan Carwile in 10th. Orlando Herrell, 11th on the grid from Cameron Sennhauser, Andy Kosick in 13th, Logan Sennhauser in 14th, Tim Wire, 15th on the grid from Steve Hermetz in 16th, Kevin Collins, Jared's dad, in 17th on the grid ahead of Will Warren in 18th. Brian Tidd has qualified 19th, Matt McGee has qualified 20th. Cindy Pickett in 21st and John Nicholford 22nd. No qualifying time for Bowie Suen as the iRacing sedan pace car pulls off the starting grid to take them on the formation lap of this 2-mile street circuit. The sun is shining down. There is no chance of rain. The stands are packed with the greatest sports car fans that South Australia can muster. So let's look at the championship standings. In this 12-round championship, we are on round 10. So after round 9, it's Jared Collins just 4 points ahead of Ryan Puxel. Michael Polasek chasing them down round after round. While Michael Chase sits in 4th, Ryan Carwile in 5th, there's David Martin in 6th, Ian Giebler 7th, Alex Harris in 8th, Tim Wire in 9th, and Lincoln Fox 10th in the standings at this time. Long back straight, and there's a tiny bit of trackside advertising just about here, halfway down the straight. Pays tribute to a little bit of Adelaide motoring history. General Motors wound up the Holden brand about 5 years ago, but they've still got an ad for them as those cars were made here in Adelaide. The Pontiac GTO, the Chevrolet G8, and that other one.
Just
Never forget the Caprice police vehicle. So this is where the pit entry is, and the pace car will go one corner to where green flag racing for the ChampCar iRacing Series, round 10 of 2026 at Adelaide Street Circuit. There's your pole sitter, Michael Polisek, not hanging around as Ryan Puchtel and Jared Collins are side by side. The green flag waves, and we head down towards the turn 1-2 chicane on the opening lap. Collins in second, Puchtel in third, Michael Chase following through in fourth. Good start from Jack Stadola as he always looks around the outside for fourth place. Andy Kosick also looking down the inside of one of the Sennhausers. We enter the tight street circuit, 90-degree chicanes, and the battle's still on for position. That'd be Ryan Carwile alongside Andy Kosick.
Yeah. Carwile's making a pass on John Sirota right now around the outside in that VT car. Sirota had to take a little bit of evasive action in turn 1 and caught a slowdown penalty as a result. I think he's in the process of giving that back, but it cost him a little bit of momentum coming through the first section there.
Through turn 8 for the first time to the biggest braking zone on the lap at turn 9. Pretty decent slipstream in these cars all the way from turn 7 to that braking zone at turn 9 means that we close up a little bit up front here. Jared Collins just reeling in Michael Polisek a little bit as the train fans through.
We've seen this pattern from Polisek in a few other races this season, trying to call the bluff of everyone else and say, can you keep up with me? And then if they can, maybe shifting more into a fuel-saving mode after a few laps. We'll see what the other drivers have to say as we go hustling through turn number 1 and 2 again for the second time.
And then immediately to the other side of the road to turn into turn 6. Exit out of turn 7. Incredibly important, but always challenging with the shape of those curbs. Very tall one at the apex, and then one at the exit that you can almost jump over. And then you're flat out in dry conditions through turn 8 here, but it still requires a little bit of bravery, finesse, and turning in at exactly the right point.
This corner in particular I found to be really challenging during the practice race, just timing the turn in. There's not a lot of markers on the walls of the street circuit here, and the markers that are there aren't really optimized for these Miatas. I'd say they got 150 boards when these cars are braking after the 50 going into the final corner.
Further back, they're racing.
Looks like...
boy, they're all over the place.
Yeah, trying out all the different lines. Oh, no, and Brian Tidd having a little bit of contact there with John Nicholford. Little Canadian on Canadian violence. I think Brian Tidd got the exit of that corner a little bit wrong, and it cost him a little bit.
Yeah, incredibly densely packed through this part from sort of 14th place on back, with Will Warren making some moves in the opening laps, up 3 positions, has gone ahead of Logan Sennhauser and Kevin Collins and Steve Hermetz, and then Matt McGee in 19th at the moment. We just saw Cindy Pickett, Brian Tidd and John Nicholford all lose a little bit of time. Cossack's getting away from this. Will Warren, like I say, has made up a bunch of spots. This is poor Nicholford and Tidd with a bit of damage, and it's Logan Sennhauser with a fair chunk of damage by the looks of things, losing some straight line speed potentially. Kevin Collins right behind him.
Yeah, that bumper looks like it's barely hanging on the front. Stephen Hermetz comes flying up the inside there, followed by the likes of Matt McGee almost. I wonder if it'll be bad enough for Sennhauser to think about pitting here. He's got the right side of the track for it. Opts to stay out one more lap. Kevin Collins rocking the Pips sponsorship behind him. So we rejoin the lead pack here. Michael Chase, fourth in line. A lineup that ahead of him has Ryan Pucktel, Jared Collins, and Michael Polasek all in a row.
Yeah, this is our lead crew down the street.
Kind of get a sense of how critical that exit out of the last right-hander is to your speed down the straight here. Michael Chase didn't quite nail it the same way the guys ahead did, and it cost him a few car lengths.
Another weird curb just there as you're turning left off the street, so you can hook your inside tyres on the far side of it and really upset the car if you get it wrong. Top four remain very close at the end of lap 4. Jack Stadola just by himself back there in 5th. Then Ian Giebler has Levi Goffeni, Lee Martin and Ryan Carwile with him. As they stare down turns 1 and 2, hitting that apex curb at 1, making sure you stay the correct side of the curb at turn number 2.
Yeah, it's a left-right chicane, but it almost felt better to just think of it as a left-hand turn with a bumpy exit, because you're going to be hitting that right-hand curb hard no matter what you do. At the front, Michael Polasek, you see him dropped out of line there in the foreground of the shot here. He's dropped back and fallen into line behind Jared Collins. And so, pattern we've seen before, Polasek gets the early lead, but can't stretch it, and so he's jumped back into line here to play the fuel-saving game. We'll see if any of the other drivers are picking up on his secrets. Cheeto's Mobile taking his turn at the front, though. Jared Collins. Going to see if he can make some ground.
Yeah, on a street circuit, you usually think of track position as being of utmost importance, but we have that sort of change at the moment, seeing Jared Collins lead. Takes an aggressive line through the opening center chicane. Logan Sennhauser finally is in the pit lane to fix up that damage. Somewhere along the line, his right front took a big hit. Red and white, there's the Holden ad. Don't know the significance of that part of the track, but that's where it is. Collins, Polasek, Puxel and Michael Chase, top 4, still very close together in the opening stages of this race. And even it being a street circuit, that long flat out run around the back stretch and through turn 8, just keeping them all together to the same effect as we saw at Daytona for round 2, for example. But it's enough in these cars. And Stadola in 5th still, getting a little bit further away from the battle of Giebler, Goffeni and Lee Martin. Ryan Carwile cut a bit of the chicane, so he's dropped back a little bit in 9th. Chancerota in 10th as Goffeni goes around from that battle group.
Yeah, you can see it just at the end of the straightaway. Goffeni spins him up as he's turning the corner, and now he's looking for a safe spot to make the turnaround, a gap in the traffic. And easy to do on the exit here. Got to have these cars set up loose to get them around these tight corners of the street circuit, and Goffeni pays the price on the inside wall. Andy Cossack gaining ground. Going to be challenging for that position, you got to think, pretty soon.
Would have been, but apparently he's cut too much of turn 2. He's slowing up on the way to turn 4. Will Warren and Tim Wire just behind him.
Consistency is key around here, and it's challenging to get it right every single lap. The difference in best lap time between 5th and 15th isn't that big, but the difference in consistency is.
So it could be pretty close going into turn 9. Will Warren just looking around a little bit behind Andy Cossack. Oh, and that's one of the Sennhausers depositing a front wing. Is it Logan Sennhauser again? No, Matt McGee. Okay.
Yeah, McGee's had a bad go of it. Looked like he got the right-hander wrong there as they were heading on to the straight, the back straight. Outside wall, inside wall, and yeah, the bumper's the casualty at least. Levi's, meanwhile, hit the pit lane after his incident. Now, luckily for these drivers, we do have a fast repair available at every event, so they'll get one quick fix to fix one mistake. But you don't want to use it if you don't have to.
Your best race would usually involve never needing to use it, but it's there. Top 4 still has Jared Collins leading. A lap ago, Michael Polasek was way closer at this part of the lap. He's just backed back a little bit. Our top 4 within 1.6 seconds front to back. There's the damaged car of McGee.
Ooh.
We're almost driving into the back access of the paddock or something. He's out of the way of our leaders.
And he's taking a tow to the pit lane, I think. Either way, our leaders will be catching up with some back markers here before the end of this first stint, I think. First of a few is just up the road. That's Logan Sennhauser. So we'll see him. You can see the leaders just peeking into view in the back. And depending on when you catch a car on this track, it can be really challenging to get around them quick, even if they jump out of the way. So we'll see how this works out for our leaders as they navigate the first of what will be a few lap cars.
Andy Cossack's going to be in trouble here. He has not got that opening chicane sequence right, and then he's not got turn 4 right. Will Warren is down the inside at 5, and very wide goes Andy Cossack. Warren and Wire go by him.
Yep. And the challenge of this Adelaide track showing itself for Andy Cossack. Our leaders are coming down the front straight.
As you said, our leader's about to catch Logan Sennhauser.
I mean, it's tough. Sennhauser's doing his best to disappear, but you can't disappear. And there's a deceptive amount of camber there at turn 4. It makes it really hard for a car to come around the outside. They all managed to get through unscathed, though. Sennhauser's done a good job of getting out of the way. Next up is Matt McGee in that Milwaukee car. So these leaders are not getting any time to breathe.
And a few more drivers pitting. So Tim Wire making his stop at the moment. We've had Goffney and Logan Sennhauser and McGee.
And a little split after that lap traffic, a little split between 1, 2, and 3, 4. It's Ryan Pucknell and Michael Chase chasing now.
We were talking about the shape of the road there at turn 5 as they go through. Every curb is slightly different through this sequence, even though it's 90-degree corner into 90-degree corner into 90-degree corner. They're all a little different. Turn 4's got that curb on the entry that you turn in from, and then there's more camber at turn 5. Turn 6 feels a bit sharp, and then you've got to get a perfect exit out of turn 7 for this long straight towards turn 8 and 9.
McGee's trying to make himself disappear again, but it's not quite worked. Polasak's made his way through, and now Pucknell. And Michael Chase has to check up a little bit, loses some momentum. No fault of anyone's, it's just the reality of racing on a narrow street circuit. But this will be a significant blow to Michael Chase, who was kind of hanging on to this front pack just barely. And it's tough to follow through here at the best of times, especially with the back marker when you don't know exactly how committed they're going to be into 1-2. Chase takes it a little deep on the entry to 3 and 4, I guess. But we'll carry on. Just like the real world ChampCar series, how you manage the traffic matters almost as much as your outright pace sometimes. "42 minutes left in the session, though, so Chase will have his chance to make things up, I'm sure."
We've got Orlando Harrell making his pit stop. He's just done now, so he'll come back out on track. And it looks like he'll be ahead of Goffney by enough. So Harrell's the highest running car that's pitted. Him, then Goffney, then Wire, then Logan Sennhauser, then McGee a lap down to them. Jack Stadol is still staying just ahead of Ian Giebler, Ryan Carwile, and Lee Martin. Martin the fastest on the last lap of this group. They all cross the start-finish line and changes just a little bit.
Drivers are working for everything right now. Collins really seems to have found some consistency at the front, but Polasek seems to make up a lot in the braking zone every time. Just manages in the second phase of the braking as he starts to turn in. He seems to be able to just get a little bit more performance out of the car than Collins does ahead. Always closes up during that phase of the corner. I noticed it in particular last time through the hairpin here. We'll see if it shows up again. And it looks like the next bit of lap traffic will jump out of the way. That's Tim Wire driving the Salins Mobile with Rubber City Performance on the hood. And that was a nicely executed blue flag maneuver there.
Well, Stadola's been caught by Giebler, so that's where we go to now. And there's a little bit of damage on the right front of Jack Stadola. He managed to stay mainly in his own air in 5th place, just behind our top 4, but staying ahead of the group in 6th. But they've reeled him in, and on the last lap, it was by almost 2 seconds. So there's been a problem that I haven't seen for Stadola. Now he's got Giebler and Carwile, and perhaps shortly even Lee Martin all over him here. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, one slowdown or one bad corner can cost you a lot out here.
Well, the damage on the right front actually doesn't say slowdown to me. That's only recently appeared. He stays ahead at turn 9, but they are buzzing in his mirrors.
You know what? I've gone back and looked. It's the second to last corner, last time through. The one he's just been through where he's tagged the outside wall and taken the bumper and knocked it in a bit. So a little cautious through there this time.
Cindy Pickett's also bumped against something. And the number 94 is on the toe hook heading back to pit lane, having been passed on track by Orlando Harrell and Levi Goffney.
Yeah, it was an off at turn 5 that did her race in.
A little cloud comes across the circuit, and quite a dense one at that, apparently. As Stadola, Giebler, Carwile, and Martin stay super close.
Find out who's got the headlight key bound.
Fortunately, it doesn't work like that for this car. It's
Jack
W
Stadola.
for wipers, though.
Oh, Jack Stadola tries to make the move to the inside. Gets blocked by Logan Sennhauser. It carries straight on into the outside wall. Sennhauser was trying to get off the line, I think. Being a lap down. And a little miscommunication between the lap traffic. Ends with the end of Stadola's position there. And that's tough for all parties there. Ian Giebler and Ryan Carwile carry on. That's who we're following here. Lee Martin in the background.
And our top 3, still Collins leading the race from Polasek in 2nd, Ryan Puchtel in 3rd.
And it does...
8 seconds ahead of Michael Chase.
I was going to say, it does sound like the Fuel Save Olympics up here. Hearing clutches in and cars coasting into the final turn.
Let's put that to the test. Here we are on board with Polisek. They start another lap, but on the previous one, the fastest driver on track was Ryan Puchtel in third place. Very even times across our top three as they hold this formation.
They'll be coming up on a couple bits of live traffic here. Cindy Pickett and Orlando Harrell up the road for them. Polisek following Jared Collins through has actually managed to drop Ryan Puchtel a little bit after a bad exit from the last corner. This could be punishing for Puchtel. He gets a little bit of help from the lap traffic. Well done. Cindy Pickett getting out of the way. And so he's able to gain a little and close that gap up.
And he's jumping into the pits for the second time, Orlando Harrell, to my surprise.
Yeah, it looked like maybe he didn't get the fuel he needed in the first trip.
The pit stop time the first time looked okay, but I don't know if maybe he thinks he's picked up a little bit of damage, nothing that I could see. We are 27 minutes in, 33 to go, and it's about the halfway point of the race where most are going to want to make their pit stop. 17 seconds, and Harrell is back out. Don't know the story there.
Things are getting heated down in 13th place. John Nicholford leading Brian Tidd and Kevin Collins.
You'd say that's a bit of damage on John Nicholford's car.
I'd say so. The thing doesn't look like it's running quite as fast in a straight line as it was before.
It'd probably be in the salvage section of the auction site, if we're honest.
And an international battle here. Got two Canadians, Nicholford and Brian Tidd, leading Kevin Collins in the all Pibst mobile. Representing America, one would presume.
Is that what they call it there?
I'm not sure. It's a Pabst, I've learned from our producer. We're having a major cultural exchange this weekend. We've been learning all sorts of things about Adelaide over the past week from David Haynes.
What, the cultural exchange of reading 5 letters and pronouncing them how they're spelt?
Oh, we learned about dilly bars.
Michael Chase is into the pits from 4th place. This is the part where you expect John Nicholford to be suffering most in the straight line speed, and down the inside goes...
That was Tidd.
Someone lapping him? No, yeah.
That was Tidd. Yeah, he tried to make the move, but he didn't quite make it work. And had to park it to get it turned.
And it looks like Kevin Collins coming into the pit lane. Andy Kosick has Will Warren just behind for 10th place. Just ahead of them is Michael Chase, who's completed his pit stop. So Chase would have hoped to have made that stop and come out into some relatively clean air, which it seems like he has for the next lap or two. Then everyone else around, including these drivers, are going to need to stop.
Yeah, Michael Chase has to pass Cindy Pickett, who seems to be limping the car back to the pits after a little bit of contact earlier in the lap. Chase had kind of fallen off of the leaders, who were themselves running real quick, about 5 seconds. So he'll be hoping that with this pit stop he can get away with it and catch up. Kevin Collins exits the pits, and we see it looks like the car of John Sirota hitting the lane. There's a few cars in right now. Ian Giebler, Lee Martin taking fuel and tires.
Andy Kosick and Will Warren in as well. So a couple of races off pit lane here. Giebler's going to win it. Slightly long stop from Martin. Stop still ongoing for Sirota.
Will Warren's actually missed his box and had to back up into it. Gets away with
fire
it.
Extinguishers on the lane, but they're the biggest fire extinguishers you've ever damn seen.
Fire those ones across half the straight.
Yes, Jared Collins comes in from the race lead, but Polasek and Puchtel stay out. John Nicholford gets a speeding penalty as he enters the lane. It is 25 miles an hour, which does feel like crawling after half an hour of racing. Fantastic Adelaide-specific advertising around here. Your Adelaide personalised plates and your Adelaide construction cranes and your Adelaide flavoured coffee. Adelaide pies at the first chicane. Billy's Pies, the best pie bakery that Adelaide has to offer. So much exciting things happening in Adelaide. Construction cranes and pies. And no one globally notable.
I was going to say, we're watching Michael Polasek and Ryan Puchtel, but they can rest easy knowing that Jared Collins has exited the pit lanes into his worst nightmare. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lapped cars just up the road from him. So he's having to make some moves here through the early section of the Fast and Furious 90-degree turns.
Polasek and Puchtel come in, and the other last car we were waiting for, Cameron Senhauser. So now we've seen everyone on pit lane.
And these are lengthy stops here. So Collins just coming around the hairpin as those two are pulling to a stop. And I don't know if it's just the surface or if it's the tire model right now, but these cars really aren't happy on cold tires.
Well, Puchtel's not going to have any because he's not taking any, whereas I'm seeing two sides of Polasek. Is he just taking rears? Well, Puchtel's going to beat him on the exit, and by a fair little bit. So there's a 3-second difference there. Ryan Puchtel is going to lead the race. Jared Collins also going to be ahead of Polasek. Has to go around the outside of lap down Andy Kosick. Does Ryan Puchtel, the race leader, checks up a lot of his momentum.
And Jared
Collins goes back through into the lead.
So the overcut on the hot tires.
It's a difficult pit exit here because of where it is. And then you basically blend with the racing line at the turn-in point. The turn 1, which we've described as requires incredible precision and commitment. So it is very odd to be the car on the racetrack when someone comes out of the pit lane, because they basically emerge on the racing line but very slowly. So it's Jared Collins from Ryan Puxel and Michael Polasek, all within 1 second. Pit stops completed. Polasek with a strategy for his tyres. Ryan Puxel keeping the same 4. Gave him a quick pit stop time. But then on the pit exit, he lost it, basically.
Some lap traffic to contend with. Collins going up the inside. Polasek getting up the inside too. And that was Ryan Puxel getting held out to dry as they came through lap traffic.
Yeah, Kevin Collins, Steve Hermetz and Andy Kosik now a lap down to the leaders, but they're battling all each other for position there. Kosik had a long stop. I don't know quite how that happened for him. Hermetz also a tiny bit long, and Kevin Collins about what I would have expected at 28 seconds.
Puxel actually a remarkably short stop relative to the field.
Yeah, so he came out of the lane in the race lead, but then it didn't work out for him, and he's back in third.
Wonder if he'll be saving fuel here in the second stint. Hard to say.
Andy Kosik's looking to the inside of turn 8 on Steve Hermetz and gets it. It's tough but possible to go flat out through that corner. It's very tough to go flat out side by side, too wide. So Kosik gets away with that one. He's moved ahead of Hermetz. He's still behind Collins, and Orlando Herald might be catching all of them. So battles are plenty. Yeah, there's Herald just behind Hermetz. 2 pit stops for reasons I don't fully understand for Herald, but he's quick when he's on track. So he's basically made up a whole pit stop versus these drivers.
Yep, keeping that thing moving up the field after his issues earlier in the race. Wow, we're back to the lead pack as they've got another little gaggle of cars ahead of them. This time it's Logan Senhauser and Will Warren battling for position. But when Jared Collins has a bit of a moment coming through Flinders Corner onto Hutt Street, and on Bartles Road, he'll have 2 cars ahead to choose from as he looks at his draft. And like Haynes just said, it's hard to take 2 cars through there flat out. This is not what you want to see if you're the leader. Car taps the inside wall and then the outside wall. Polasek's got to run up the inside, and this could be for the lead. And Polasek's going to do it so far in the inside. It's dirty over there. You see the dust getting kicked up, and the lap traffic trying its best to make this interesting too. Senhauser gets out of the way. Polasek makes a dive up the inside, and things are spicy indeed in the top 3 because now Ryan Puxel's been able to make up some ground, and he'll be threatening Polasek as they come into the final hairpin. And no shortage of action here at Adelaide. Lap ends the way it started, but could have gone about 3 different ways there.
And it's still 22 minutes to go, so there's a big slice of this before it all gets decided.
Now, I gotta say, Collins has looked just rock solid consistent through turn 1 in a way that even the rest of the top 3 can't seems like they can't match. So I don't know, I'm feeling good if I'm Collins. But we saw the power of the draft last time. And if Polasek can time up this run, he can be a pest down at the hairpin.
Yeah, speed difference significant when you're looking at the numbers as I am. That's why they close up so much, especially once they get to that speed that they carry through turn 8. So Collins and Polasek and Puchtel for our top three. Michael Chase was the fastest driver on track last lap as the top three encountered some troubles. And Carwile sits in fifth from Lee Martin and Ian Giebler, John Sirota, Levi Goffney and Cameron Senhauser as the top 10. But first and second are nose to tail and bumper to bumper coming off the final corner with still 20 minutes to race.
Polasek wants to lead this one from the front. A shower of sparks as Puchtel taps the outside mirror going into turn one. But Collins able to hold on.
Same again, but Puchtel not quite as close as a lap ago. Still Polasek coming onto the straight about half a second back, getting into the braking zone about 0.3 of a second back, or maybe more like 2.5.
Yeah, Puchtel just doesn't seem to get the same runoff of turn 7 as the rest of them onto the back straight. Struggling to keep up with them through that section.
This is the driver's view of the opening chicane, which is to say hardly any until you've already committed and turned into the corner.
And I don't even know if that angle does justice how much that inside tire barrier is just your aiming point. Like you turn right at it and then miss it. And if you do that right, then you'll be fast. But you do that wrong, you'll get a slowdown or a wrecked car.
Puchtel needs another miracle here, and Jared Collins weaving one side to the other before turn 8. Polasek is even closer than a lap ago. 0.2, 1.5. Braking zone for turn 9. Polasek has a look down the inside. Jared Collins hasn't covered it, so they will go side by side. The driver on the inside seems to win. Michael Polasek back into the lead.
A big move there from Polasek in the complexion of this race. And we'll see if anyone has anything for Polasek at this phase. Remember, Polasek took the 4 tires at the stop, or at least 2 tires at the stop. And we'll see what that means for the other drivers. And there's still the X factor of any traffic that shows up here between here and the end of the race. 16 minutes to go.
They have lapped up to 12th place. Tim Wyers a further 10 seconds. Cossack, Collins and Warren is the battle on your screen. There's Kevin Collins ahead of Will Warren in the battle of the alliterative drivers, and they're going a lap down to Michael Chase, who is 4th position.
A little further back on the track, it's the battle of the back markers. Will Warren fending off. Oh, it's not the back markers. That's Michael Chase making his way through lap traffic. So Michael Chase pushing his way through a battle pack that includes Andy Cossack, Kevin Collins, and Will Warren. And so what was a promising start has turned into a more challenging second half of the race here for Michael Chase, as he's just lost tons of time fighting his way through the traffic. A 10-second gap after the stop has become 16 seconds as we cross the line this time.
Seems like Chase has lost a tiny bit of time. Puchtel's a little bit closer in our top three.
And I think Collins just had a better run through the turns 4, 5, 6, 7. But it wasn't enough to convert into a move this time. Did hear a pretty big lift from Ryan Puchtel going into turn 9, the hairpin at 9. So I think our suspicion that he was maybe saving a bit of fuel is probably correct.
Well, it is very exciting with what will be about 10 laps to go to see our top three closing back in again. The suspension takes a hammering through that opening part of the lap, the center chicane. Collins gets a little bit out of that camber that you describe at turn 5, but stays close enough. DRS boards, but such technology is not fitted to the humble Mazda MX-5 Cup car. Jared Collins is a 10th back, but there's a wreck from Tim Wire on the exit of turn 8 ahead of them. Our leaders get through, no worries. But man, it cost a little bit of time. Polisek, Collins, Puchtel, bumper to bumper, and Tim Wire already with some damage, just turned in too early, got the inside arm coat, found the outside wall, and smoke in the air. Not an uncommon thing in South Australia. You're allowed to own 3 planes.
Yeah, it looked like Tim Wire was trying to do the right thing and get offline for the leaders, but that offline position he found himself in going into 8 just made the sight lines a little weird, and he turned in early. Inside wall, outside wall. And that's all she wrote. Oh, and Jared Collins has a bad line through the first turn.
They do.
He and Polisek.
Collins. A slowdown for both of them. Ryan Puchtel shoots from 3rd to the lead as a bad entry into turn 1 from both our drivers in 1st and 2nd place, and I think 2nd just followed 1st through. You talk about how little reference markers you have going in. If the driver in front's going too quick, you often just follow them through, and Ryan Puchtel didn't realise until he had to jump to the left-hand side of the road, and he now leads.
Huge. And Collins in an advantageous position here. If he can turn this run into a little bit of pressure, this could see Polisek all the way back to 3rd. Oh, but it's a big lift from Collins. So everyone's struggling in the fuel game right now, I think.
It's on board with your driver in 3rd place. So you have so limited reference markers for this opening chicane where you're so heavily punished for getting it wrong, and even those touch points and little reference markers are even harder to spot when you're right in behind another car, as Jared Collins was. Puchtel with the lead still from Polasek and Collins. Close as they've been in a little while after the opening turn a lap ago. Michael Chase in fourth from Ryan Carwile in fifth. Quietly good race from him, as it looks like Collins just scraped the wall a little bit. He'll do that on a street circuit from time to time. Ryan Carwile started 10th and runs fifth at the moment. Gets so close through turn 8. As Jared Collins carries that momentum, and Michael Polasek, in fact, gets to the apex of turn 9 with Carwile. I keep getting everyone's name wrong. With Ryan Puchtel still trying to hold around the outside of him to have the inside of the next corner. Our leaders check up their momentum going side by side, and Ryan Puchtel leaves plenty of space and has no flow.
Yeah, kills his apex speed being offline there and doesn't do enough to pressure Polasek towards the outside, and ultimately ends up giving the spot. Jared Collins decides to do the gentlemanly thing and give him a push, but the two of them are going to have to work together if they want to find their way back past Polasek, I got to think. Though we've seen Polasek is mortal. Another mistake like that and he might not have the chance to get it back.
The other battles on track as we settle into the final few laps are Lee Martin and Ian Giebler 6th and 7th place, Andy Kosick from Logan Sennhauser 11th and 12th, and Lando Herald might just be slowly catching Kevin Collins for 13th place, but there's nowhere closer or more important than this podium fight.
Polasek's been on such a run. If these guys have a chance, they need to take a win off of him to have a shot at winning the overall championship and the 3,000 champ bucks that come with it. They've been so close in so many races, but just haven't found the edge. Maybe today's the day.
That finish line gets ever closer, but still sits a little bit away. 8 minutes left, and predicting 5 more laps of the Adelaide street circuit. Polasek, Puchtel, Collins into turn 1, and they are just scraping that concrete wall before turn in to really make sure they can open it up. Another great Adelaide sponsor, Grinio. I have no idea what a Grinio is or does.
Appears to be either...
Don't tell me, I don't want to know.
An Australian taco place or some sort of Bitcoin wallet. No one can tell.
South Australia is a land of wonders that I will never understand and won't attempt to. Polasek, Puchtel, Collins, in that order at the moment, is actually the order that they qualified in. So we've, shook it up a little bit a couple times and just ended up back in this order once more. They've all had their turn at leading.
I've had the pleasure of watching a few V8 supercar races around here, and I can't help but think of some of the ones that finished with a tap to pass around this circuit, because it's just so tough to find a little bit of space if the guy ahead isn't making mistakes. But 2 and 3 have really seemed to have a hard time just getting to Polasek's bumper. And I'm still hearing Collins doing big lifts into that turn 9 hairpin. saving fuel.
So immediately as you exit turn 7, the road goes downhill, really helps you pick up some speed. And you're just following the driver in front. Turn 8, you can take flat out, just don't turn in too early. Pucktel comes across to the inside line to defend. So Jared Collins has to look around the outside. Nothing doing there, so that kind of works for Ryan Pucktel to try to hold his position.
Yeah, did a good job of making his car big. Pucktel seemed to have a hard time finding the apex on some of the flatter, I'm going to say easier in air quotes, corners around here. Just finding some consistency, getting to the minimum speed that he needs. 3 laps to go, thereabouts. And we'll see if he can make some ground through the city streets this time by. And all of them are closing up this time. Just marginally better for Michael Polasek at front, but it's a run that translates into tenths by the end of the straight. Pucktel's close enough to have a draft this time, though.
The weird thing about turn 8 is it means that Jared Collins can't bump draft Ryan Pucktel through that part of the lap there. He doesn't look for the inside this time. He sits behind and just lets Ryan Pucktel slipstream Michael Polasek close in. Our top 3 as close as they possibly could be. 9 minutes ago, Will Warren ran into some trouble and towed to the pit lane.
Yeah, that battle for 6th and 7th between Lee Martin and Ian Giebler got a little hot with some lap traffic, but it is mostly split up with Lee Martin holding on to 6th. So if you're watching for someone deeper in the field, the action's up at the front. Timing's on hjbc.live.
Two laps to go. Good exit of 2 for Pucktel, so he starts to close in on Polasek on the way down towards turn 4 here. Polasek's looked pretty good at maximising the width of the track through here. So through these couple of corners, he's looked very strong. Jared Collins could not be closer to Ryan Pucktel through the corners.
With confidence, too. A little bit of lap traffic up ahead.
Yes, next up the road is Tim Wire and John Nicholford. Still a bit further ahead.
Flashback to Tim Wire a few laps ago.
So close for 2nd and 3rd that Pucktel defends. Collins gets in super hot. We have a total car park at the apex of the tightest corner on the track. And this is going to be tough again, side by side. We've seen around the outside work pretty well through such a tight corner, but Collins bombs it, gets himself up into 2nd place. And with 1 lap to go, can he make one more position, perhaps? They haven't lost too much time to Michael Polasek, with the spectre of traffic still looming, though Tim Wire is no slouch, and he is about 3 or 4 seconds up the road. They get the white flag just about now, and it's close. 1:30. We're doing 1:33 laps, 3 seconds away from this race being a lap longer. But this will be the final lap. Oh, Collins. No. That's not the track limits. He's going to lose 2nd place.
Oh, and that's tragic for him and tragic for Pucktel because it's cost him a little bit of momentum. Polasek has a scruffy turn 4. And Pucktel's been fast through 5. He jumps the curb and slides it. It'll all come down to the last run through 9.
I'll consider it risked in search of the biscuit. Jared Collins has gotten himself up in 2nd place, and then a brutal course cut at turn 2. Ryan Pucktel 7/10 back off Michael Polasek. Not really close enough to get a whole bunch of slipstream for him to challenge the race leader on this final lap. Traffic a little closer than Michael Polasek would have wanted with just a couple of corners to go, given the pressure that he is under. Final corner, final lap. The streak for Polasek becomes 7 wins in a row with just 2 races left in the calendar. He's victorious on the streets of Adelaide from Ryan Pucktel, from Jared Collins, who bet it all on one number on the roulette wheel and it didn't come up his way, but he put all his chips in search of the race win. And then Michael Chase will come around for 4th. It looks like Ryan Carwile is headed for that 5th place as one of the biggest movers.
Yeah, Ryan Carwile will cross line 5th, 6th, and 7th between Lee Martin and Ian Giebler. Did get a little bit closer on the final lap, but Lee Martin was able to wring enough out of it and hold on to 6th place as Ian Giebler crosses in 7th. Levi Goffney recovering from that earlier incident, going to cross the line in 8th and on the lead lap, impressively. Jean Sirota going to be the lead Canadian crossing the line in 9th. And Cameron Sennhauser will be the superior Sennhauser brother today, crossing the line in 10th place. Did get a good look at him today. It's got a cat on that car. Looks good. John Nicholford and Tim Wire will cross the line as last 2 cars. Somehow, 2 laps down. Nicholford holding Tim Wire off for 16th place.
Yeah, Tim Wire was just able to stay on that lap with Polasek and then tried to use that extra lap that he'd bought himself to hunt down John Nicholford, but it didn't quite happen. Michael Polasek was the race winner, challenged at many points by Ryan Pucktel and Jared Collins and even Michael Chase. Ryan Carwile in 5th, Lee Martin 6th, Ian Giebler in 7th, Levi Goffney in 8th, Jean Sirota in 9th, and Cameron Sennhauser in 10th. Sirota is your Devon Peters honorary Canada Cup winner. Andy Kosick in 11th from Logan Sennhauser and Orlando Herrell. Kevin Collins 14th, Steve Hermetz 15th, John Nicholford and Tim Wire battling on that final lap. Brian Tidd getting back out on track late in the race, just ahead of Will Warren, and then I think it was retirement for McGee, and Cindy Pickett and Jack Stadola and Bowie Suin didn't start the race. So our classified finishers, who are one race closer to going into the next prize draw, is the top 20. Podium standing by to chat with us what a race they had. Jared Collins finished in 3rd. Jared, did you know that the Royal Australian Navy's Collins-class submarines were built here in Adelaide? Do you think if you had a towed sonar array, bow sonar array, and surface search radar, you'd have found the track limits at turn 2?
Oh, man. No, I still would have blown right past it and kicked myself pretty hard afterwards. Yeah, that was not my finest moment. It's last lap, though, and it was like, full send, and yeah, sent a little bit too hard.
The analogy I thought of, is if you're going to put money on the roulette table, you can pick, red or black or a particular number, and you kind of moved it all in one number there. And you could see how, you could have benefited, but it didn't come up your number.
Yeah, that's definitely one where if it hits, I was about half a second behind, and I was like, if I nail this, I can get up on them into, 3, and then, hopefully I can get a run and, send it either down the backstretch or into the last corner. But I felt like I really needed to hook up that corner in order to, suck up close enough to actually make it a race in the second half of the lap, and just missed it.
Aside from the laser at turn 2, what do you think was the biggest challenge of this race and this circuit?
I think it's definitely just staying focused and then keeping your momentum up. It's like, it's so easy to think back on a corner, for me at least, to like drift. Oh, I should have done that differently. And then you're already in the next corner, and you can blow it. And if you blow it too hard, right, a wall hits you pretty hard. So I think it's just staying in the moment and staying focused, and just concentrating on not crashing and, keeping your momentum up the whole lap.
Well done. It was thrilling to watch the top 3 battle and see the different strengths and weaknesses. And we won't have to wait too long to see you on track again for the next round of the ChampCar iRacing series.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Road America is my favorite track. So we'll see how it goes in the GR86 there.
Thank you. Okay, Jared Collins being an incredibly good sport about my barbs and pokes, and Devin Peters has second place.
Yeah, I'm here with Ryan Puchtel, and with about 7 laps to go, all of a sudden the leaders were pulling over for you, and unfortunately not able to make it convert into a win.
Yeah, I thought maybe only Jared got the slowdown, and I saw them both kind of pull over to the side, and so that was a fun little overtake there.
It looked like you were working pretty hard out there, and maybe a little bit of pit strategy differences between you and the rest of the lead pack there.
Yeah. I was just fuel saving heavily, and then I think I could have gone an extra lap, but I wanted to make sure I pitted when Polasek pitted. But I thought I had a pretty good pit. Just on exit, I ran into a little bit of traffic, so it was unfortunate.
Well, and you and Colin really pushed Polasek this week. Seemed like it was a good chance. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty close race between us. Definitely a lot more fun instead of watching Polasek disappear. Yeah, I thought maybe for a little bit had a chance to possibly get a win, but I'm pretty happy with second.
Well, it was a quality race out there, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you at Road America.
Yeah, that one I'm looking forward to for sure.
Cheers.
All right, have a good night.
And our race winner will join us. It's Michael Polasek, running out of fingers on the hand to count. It's 7 in a row for you.
Yeah, this was probably the hardest race of the season. It is a track I'm not particularly good at, and the MX-5 is actually pretty challenging to drive around there. The rear end's a lot looser than I would expect it to be, especially because on some tracks the car is actually pretty tight with the setup we have on it. But really, it's same thing, just draft pack and fuel saving. Now we're just all so close in pace that it doesn't really matter anymore. As long as you come out within like 2 seconds of each other, we're all gonna eventually just converge on each other. I was fortunate to get the lead from Jared pretty early on after the stop, and fortunately we both got slowdowns, which allowed Ryan to take the lead but me to stay with the draft pack. If I got the slowdown and nobody else did, I probably would have never been able to catch back up. And from there, it was just a matter of commanding the race and making sure that the 2 cars behind were just not in range. And it really sucks that Jared got that slowdown on the final lap. he would have had a really good shot at winning the race. He was incredibly fast all race long, and in these cars especially, he's really, really quick.
So your pit strategy, what kind of a tire selection were you thinking of? Because we saw all sorts of differences from those pit stops. Puchtel went no tires and was obviously very quick.
You got to take 4 tires in this. I was noticing a lot of drop off in practice, and the fuel required allows you to take the tires for free. So you might as well just take all 4.
Interesting how that, works out, the differences of when they're brand new and then they come into their temperature. And then Ryan Puchtel, having not taken tires, still seemed pretty quick, but obviously the balance would have been different.
Yeah, it seems like that as the stint goes on, the car just kind of tends to get lazier and maybe a little bit tighter. It's just difficult to keep the car underneath you once the tires get hot, and you just start losing grip overall. So fortunately, with the new tires on it, I was just able to place the car where I wanted it to a lot better than on the old tires before I pit.
Congratulations to you, and we'll see you at the next round, Michael. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, Devon, what a race we have had. The main championship prize is just 2 races away. Our next prize draw is just 2 races away, and then we're into the 4 team endurance races where drivers can get their team together and use the iRacing driver swap feature in some longer races.
Yeah, looking forward to it. The Enduro series is always a good time, and it definitely fills those long cold winter months, November and December there.
So if you want to get involved, it's simply never too late to be part of the ChampCar iRacing series. If you're a ChampCar Endurance Series member and you're looking to get some practice ahead of one of your future races, or if you're an iRacer thinking, I'd like to be just a little bit closer to some real-world wheel-to-wheel racing, this is the place to be. Forum.champcar.org and the ChampCar website and the ChampCar iRacing Series Discord are the places you'll find all the information to join us on track for all of the remaining races this season. And the championship fight with 2 rounds to go here could go down to the wire between Jared Collins, Ryan Puchtel and Michael Polasek. Another race win for Michael Polasek, but he simply cannot afford a misstep. It's Road America next time out in the Toyota GR86. So this time next week we'll be practicing, and then in 2 weeks time on September the 9th it's round 11 of the ChampCar iRacing series. We'll see you then here on HJBC, and hopefully see you on the track too. David Haynes with Devon Peters and Michael Derby. It's been our pleasure to bring you round 10 from Adelaide.